Hey guys, we're going to do a real quick, easy summer handmade card. And right here, I'm using some Post-it tape and I'm going to basically mask off the area that I want to do some ink blending with. Got to make sure that's totally lined up and then just go ahead and lay that down. Now stick with me all the way to the end because I have two tips that really help to make sure that your water scenes look more realistic. So let's dive right in. I'm using the Scatter Sunshine set here. That's giving you a glimpse into what we're going to do a little later with that. Like I said, this is an easy handmade card. This is really a clean and simple card. But that big hello, that I wanted to make sure that I had enough space there in that area that we're going to create our water on, because that's where we're going to put the sentiment. So I'm putting down some copy paper because, you know what, Murphy's Law has it, if I don't, I'm going to end up going over that border and adding ink to my sky, and that's not going to be helpful. I'm using Catherine Pooler ink and some life-changing brushes. I really enjoyed these makeup brushes. They make ink blending really simple, and we're going to start off with It's a Boy, which is the lightest blue in the Catherine Pooler line. You want to start off with a really light color and something that is going to be very translucent. You can see how soft these bristles are, and they really make ink blending a dream. Now, one of the keys is to always start off your project and end off your project naturally. And this brush that I'm using, I kind of have dedicated to blues. We're going to switch over to Fiesta Blue now that we created a very light, kind of like oval. We did kind of go a little bit into the middle with the It's a Boy, only because it's the lightest shade, but I left a lot of white there. Now with the Fiesta Blue here, you can see we're really kind of going to concentrate on the edges and the perimeter. I'm really being careful to make sure that my pressure is always off my project. You can see right there, that's where I'm applying the most pressure, and that is going to help me to keep that middle area a little lighter. Don't worry if you get some weird marks. You can see I'm just kind of accentuating how exactly I hold that. The very middle part of that brush, or the furthest part to the middle, is never really touching the project, and that's key here. In creating a water scene, you need to have a little bit of light. You want to have some sort of a reflection, and that's kind of reflecting the light source that we're using, and that helps your scene to be a little more realistic. You want to remember that every time you're doing a scenic scene, you always want to have dark and light because that's a little more natural. Now, along with that light, you need to have a little dark, so we added a little aquatini there right at the horizon line. Got a little heavy on one side, and you know that does happen, and we will try to fix that. You can see I am working to clean off that brush the best I can. Now, because this is a dedicated blue brush, it automatically is blue, but I was trying to get rid of some of that teal that aquatini has before switching back to Fiesta Blue. I'm concentrating on the corners here, and you can see I'm speeding this part up because you saw me do that already. And I'm just kind of adding a little bit of kind of like a blend. I always like to come back with the light colors as you've seen in previous videos because it's really important. It helps to blend all these colors together, but the more you add as we go back into also some It's a Boy, remember, you have to keep some of that light in there, and you can see the more you add, the harder that is. It becomes a little bit of a challenge. So it's really important to be focused, and you can see how we have that little tiny bit of light that's kind of beaming off the water. Now, this is just tip one. There is another step that's really important in keeping this looking very natural. Now, I'm also going to speed this up a little bit because I'm adding some final blending touches. I want to make sure to have a little bit of darkness here on the corners as well because it helps to frame everything and it draws the viewer in a little bit. It also helps to accentuate if you feel like you've lost a little bit of that light. You can really see the light really good there. By adding a little darkness to the bottom corners, it's going to help bring that in because you're adding dark just to the corners, thus leaving the middle part a little bit lighter, and that's just kind of a really easy way to fix it if it's gone awry. So if you've ever done this and it's kind of gotten away from you, try bringing in a darker blue. So here you can see that we're going to now mask off what we did. So I'm adding the Post-it tape back there. You got to make sure it's still sticky and doesn't lift up too easily. And you want to get that as close to that edge, not over the edge. You don't want to mask off any white. And here we're going to use the Scatter Sunshine set. This is a relatively new stamp set by Catherine Pooler. And it's totally cute. It's got some great sentiments and wonderful ways of creating some sun. you know, the summer is almost upon us when I'm actually recording this video, and I really love bright, vibrant cards. And this is just a fun, uplifting card. This is really meant to just kind of be a hi, hello, how are you kind of card. So I'm adding this sinking sunset, and I love that we kind of have this half circle. And you can use this half circle in so many different ways, by the way. This is just one. And I'm having this sink into our Caribbean kind of feeling ocean. You can see that's perfect. I don't have any excess white there. It was important to have that go just slightly below the lip because you didn't want to have any white there. And remember, you're masking, so you have to put down a lot of pressure. I probably should have used a Misty. It probably would have been a better thing for me to do in case I didn't get it perfect. And then I inked that up with some sauna ink, and that's kind of like a yellowish, it's a yellow, but it's kind of heading towards the orange side a little bit. And then the inner rays, that's what's so cool about this set. It has different types of rays. I could leave it like this. I don't have to continue on, but I'm going to bring some light now. Remember me talking about dark and light, and that helps to make scenes a little more realistic. And look at that. And I love the orange because the orange, well, okay, I call it orange, but it's orange yellow. That little stamp, you can actually extend them if you want. You can see here that kind of yellowish orange, it really works well with the blues. Now there's our light. I love that kind of pool of light that we have going on there. Right before we get to our next tip, I'm just going to stamp down this hello, also part of the stamp set. There's several ways, lots of different greetings. We're using midnight ink on that one. And I probably should have used a Misty's just so I could stamp it a few times to get it really dark. There's that extra sunbeam. This is a crucial tip here. This is water, so it moves. So you need to have something in there, whether it be a white gel pen, a little bit of a darker marker, to kind of reflect that extra water. That is so important because you want this to have a realistic feel. Now, I love how this project turned out. If you want to learn more, that top video right there, those are some of my favorite techniques. Definitely check that one out. Or the one below also has some great tips on more ink blending. And I'm going to see you over in one of those two videos. Bye.